John, thanks for joining us. As a senior member of the financial community, how are you reading the state of play here in Perth?
Well, I think it's quite interesting, Nick, at the moment, because we've got ostensibly this major boom going on and full employment, unemployment rate's very low, and lots of cash sloshing around in the system, people being paid lots of money, but the retailers are squealing, people in real estate are hurting, and generally people are saving rather than spending, so there's quite a contradiction going on. It's probably wrapped up largely in a couple of things. One, the shock people got, and probably didn't feel it necessarily straight away, but then it sank in later from the effects of the GFC. And then what's happened with interest rates being relatively high, not in a historic sense as far as the Reserve Bank's concerned, but for someone borrowing money with the bank margins on top of the Reserve Bank official rate, rates in people's hands when they're borrowing are actually pretty high. And I think people have kind of, found that to be having an impact on their sort of ability to spend.
So John, the United States, we saw the global economic crisis, what happened there rolled right across the world. Are we in any danger with our markets and the way that Australia's situated?
I think there are a couple of points to make, and they're fundamental. One, that we have a much better regulated banking system. We had before the crash, we have after the crash. And so our banks came out of that whole period in much better shape. Yeah. And the second thing is the way Americans buy real estate and borrow money on real estate. Essentially over there you can buy a property, borrow money, and then if you get into difficulty or if the value of your loan in a sense is above what the property's worth, you can just walk away. Whereas here obviously they can, and they'll have a crack at you for the rest of your assets to get paid back.
Is there any chance that kind of unregulated behaviour happened here in Australia?
No, not as far as I'm concerned, no.
What's the state of play for business here in Western Australia? Are we strong? Are we perceived to be a good place to do business?
Absolutely. I think that we're probably, and we saw it through the GFC, one of the luckiest jurisdictions in the world. Whilst our markets, our share prices fell along with the rest of the world markets, they recovered very quickly. But if you had a look at the underlying economy, it was still very strong.
How do we change that? I mean, how do we change the...
It's actually not a bad thing if you think about it. If you think that our real estate is still relatively expensive compared with the rest of the world and that we had too much personal debt, Our companies are in good shape, but individuals and families had too much debt, that actually saving and paying some of that debt down is not a bad thing. We're going through that transition period.
What are we looking for in the Citizen of the Year?
Western Australia is part of a global economy, and we've got people and companies doing things, amazing things globally, and I think what we want to try and do is just highlight some of those people as well as the people who are doing great things in their backyard, in their local community.
When you're not heading up ashore, what are you doing?
I fly helicopters, and I love collecting muscle cars, and I'm really trying to get into this whole philanthropic thing, and really elevate the interest and level of giving in Western Australia.
Just on the philanthropic activities, what can we be doing better?
We're seeing it as a bit of a portal through which givers and receivers can pass and learn more about giving and receiving and how to do it well, but also just generally try and embed that ethos about giving into our community. We think that there's things we can do to make people feel good about giving.
John, I always finish off with the last question is, what do you love about Perth?
I don't know, I just think I love the environment, the can-do. It's a wonderful place. There's a lot of energetic people who really want to do things and achieve things. In parts of the rest of the world you don't get that, so I just love that here.